Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Ryan Wohl. Last night was the start of WrestleMania 40, WrestleMania Saturday, night 1, night 2, WrestleMania Sunday is tonight at 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And before we get into Sunday's action, I wanted to recap a little bit of last night's, because last night will start at the end, which was the main event. It was labeled and titled as the biggest and greatest tag team match in WWE history, and it absolutely delivered. It was over 40 minutes of action, and it was action-packed. We saw The Rock, the final boss, the tribal chief, the WWE undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns, who has reigned now for over 1,000 days at this point, getting near historic territory with the likes of Hulk Hogan and Bruno Sammartino. But they were going up against, on Saturday night, a great, unlikely pairing maybe at times, but that's the world heavyweight champion, Seth freaking Rollins. He was paired with Cody Rhodes, who has won the last 2 Royal Rumbles and has been on one of the best runs for a good guy in that we have seen in a long time. This match went a little bit how I expected. I thought that when they mentioned, and when The Rock mentioned weeks ago, Bloodline rules, I imagined that that was going to happen, just because that's what everyone wants to see. Bloodline rules. When the Bloodline, when they're in a match, when one of them's in a match, I always say, but a lot of Roman's matches do not take place with a clean finish. And last night was a clean finish. The Rock hit Cody Rhodes with a rock bottom, a people's elbow, throwing it back from many years ago, and he finished the job. Cody was left, he looked kind of like he did at the end of WrestleMania 39, distraught and kind of unsure of himself after he took that pin. I'll get into why I think maybe he took that pin in just a minute, but I wanted to first say that The Rock was the star of this match. The Rock was amazing. What he's done over the last 3 months since he returned on day 1, January 1st of this year, I think this is some of his best character work, and now moving it in the ring with the physicality over the last couple weeks, I think he's doing some of his best work of his entire career. He went from the People's Champion, and we know how that went. He came back as more of a good guy, looking to challenge Reigns. And now, after the crowd revolted for many weeks on end with the "We Want Cody" chants and the Cody crybabies, if you want to call them, that has got us to this place where The Rock is the ultimate bad guy. He calls himself the final boss, and that's true. It's not just a gimmick. He really is now on the board of TKO. He is in those big meetings. He's a major part of this company on screen, behind the scenes. And yeah, I was there last night. I thought he was just amazing. And for a guy that hasn't wrestled since, he hasn't wrestled a full match since he wrestled John Cena back in WrestleMania 29, over 11 years ago. I was at that one. That was one of the most historic WrestleMania matches. But throughout the last 10 years, it feels like every year, is The Rock going to come back? Is he going to come back? And like Roman said, it's a gimmick. It's part of the storyline, but it's true. Roman and this bloodline story, what they have done over the last 3+ years, has got The Rock out of in-ring retirement and has made The Rock want to work in the ring. And that's because of the job that Roman has done, especially leading the way, but also the likes of Paul Heyman, who just went into the Hall of Fame the other night, and Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. They wrestled tonight. That was a pretty good match. I was expecting a little bit more. It was a little slow of a pace, but I liked how it seemed like they were butting heads. They were maybe going to handshake, and then Jimmy, as the heel, kind of stabbed him in the back again, and Jay went over that, because it seems like Jay is the bigger star by himself, as Jimmy is still with the bloodline full time. And yeah, it's going to be interesting for that part to see where they go from there. There's been talk maybe they get back together. We'll see how that shakes out. But getting back to the main event, I really think this was one of the best matches, and not just in ring matches, because when we talk about the bloodline, we talk about Roman Reigns. It's about storytelling. Paul Heyman, he's a master storyteller. That's what we saw. We saw a masterpiece. We saw that match was like a movie. From the promos, the videos package that played before the match to what we saw play out. That match just had everything from going in the crowd and, getting cut up, and The Rock kind of picking up where he left off and going over and pointing at Cody's Mama Rhodes in the front row. And this match had everything. And like I said, I didn't think originally Cody was going to take this pin, but there's two ways and reasons why he took that pin. Number one is that he took the pin because from when that happened, over the next 24 hours or so, they want to build up even more. The Rock said, I'm going to learn you about hard times like your daddy. And that's going to play that even more. He's going to become even more of an underdog, because it's kind of hard to do that when he's coming in as the Royal Rumble winner. But that's what makes The Rock and Reigns such magical and dominant heels, because they can make a guy like Cody Rhodes, who went over the past two Rumbles but didn't win last year, build himself all the way back up and then bring him all the way back down before tonight, which is one of the biggest matches in a long time in WrestleMania, because of the implications for the future. Because I think that this match is going to shape the next couple years of the new Triple H era, per se. But that was my first thing about putting Cody down. But the other thing is, and getting more to what could happen tonight on Sunday, is that they want to push Cody down so much and make the fans and himself not believe in himself. So when he finally goes over, it's even bigger. It's better, because when you don't think something's going to happen, that's when the ultimate reaction. That's when Daniel Bryan was the ultimate underdog. He finally goes over. One of the best WrestleMania matches in history. That's because of that. But getting into some more of this card, I thought it was an overall really good Saturday. I thought there were some things that could have been done better. But like I said with the Uso match, I didn't love the finish of the tag team match. How Grayson Waller and Austin Theory won the SmackDown titles and continued to compete and kind of got beat up at the end. And then R-Truth and The Miz went over. I don't know if I see both of those having long-term success, just because they're not really full-blown tag teams, to put it at that. And then Rhea versus, I was expecting a little more with Rhea versus Becky. I thought it had its high points at the end. It put Rhea over really well. A little slow to my liking. And yeah, and then Sammy defeating Gunther after over 600 days. Gunther was and is one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. He really beat everybody through this reign and really propelled himself to a level and a standard for that title, because now that Intercontinental title has more prestige like it did years ago, and he's really brought that prestige back to that historic championship. And now Gunther hopefully can catapult himself to the main event scene on Monday Night Raw, maybe face the winner of Seth versus Drew on Sunday. But overall, I thought this was really good, because this was the 5th year of the 2-night WrestleMania, and the reason why this was the best night one is because it left everybody thinking after night one, what's going to happen on night two? Bloodline rules is now in effect for the main event, Cody versus Roman night 2. So there's a lot of question marks, but overall, I think they did a fantastic job of storytelling, more importantly, in WrestleMania Saturday. Thanks everybody for tuning in.